Suns fans, you know what time it is in the PHX.
Empire of the Suns.
Phoenix Suns.
Empire of the Suns.
The Empire of the Suns podcast is brought to you by Sonic. Drive to your nearest Sonic location and don't forget to order your half-price drink or slush anytime in the Sonic app.
Hello there and welcome to the Empire of the Suns podcast. My name is Kellen Olson, joined as always by Kevin Zimmer. Man, what's up, man?
Coming off loss to the Pacers. They had a couple days off before that. I was telling you, as we were walking in here, I felt like this game had a lot more significance to me just because, one, I was like watching more intently. I don't know, felt like pods today, obviously them being healthy going in. They come out, we're, 40 minutes-ish from maybe a Devin Booker update on his groin after he left that game.
Probably not.
But probably not. So we're just going to go for it. I guess, should we start there? I assume that's going to take him out at least a couple games, but those things are tricky. He's had stuff like that before.
He has, and this continues a pattern for him where around this time of year he will get hurt, and he will specifically get hurt with either a left hamstring injury or a left groin injury. It was December 2017 when he first injured his groin. I think that was later corrected to like a left adductor strain. But Ryan McDonough on the Burns and Gambo show, I like went through my receipts and like looking up. That's like a nifty tool that I use, is looking through my own tweets for injury stuff to like see history and stuff. So December 2017, left groin. December 2018, left hamstring. January 2021. So that's like 15 games in. That's post-COVID. Our schedule's a little bit flipped around. Left hammy again. December 2021, the next season, left hamstring again. And then December 2022 is the left groin. Last year didn't have anything like this, but now this year has it as well. We all remember 2 years ago, left groin tightness. Don't push it. Don't push it. Don't push it. Pushes it on Christmas. He misses a month. So I would be shocked if he plays until the new year.
Yeah.
You know that this has been a thing before where if you push him back too early, he's going to hurt it. So just do not do that. Same bleep, different day, man. I think fans are getting really tired of this team and this iteration of the team, and I completely understand why, because from our perspective, I am dreading the fact that our podcast is going to be the same podcast for 5 straight months, which is talking about injuries and stunning lacks of engagement over such small spurts that shouldn't decide a basketball game, and it keeps happening over and over and over again in the last couple of weeks. Turnovers, we talked about new coach, new point guard, all this kind of stuff. They're still turning the ball over. They still lose focus over a minute or two, and then the game is decided then. So I don't have a ton to say on how they're playing right now. Their defense is trash right now.
Yeah.
And if they keep defending at this level, they are not going to make the playoffs.
Yeah. I think going back to what I was saying about taking maybe this game being too big of a deal maybe, but it was the perfect microcosm for what this team has been since basically Kevin Durant arrived. It's anticipation met with injury before you can even get going, like from his ankle turn in warm-ups. Like that's not his fault that's a thing with this team, but that's a thing with this team. So that was a microcosm. You're finally all healthy, finally again, and then it doesn't even last a full game with Book's injury this time. But also to the point about the defense being atrocious, to me, that's the biggest thing with this team. I can accept this team if it's like, okay, their offense only takes them so far even. They're going to get outshot maybe from 3 and they're a mid-range team, I don't know, in the playoffs in a series. But if they're not even going to compete on defense, and it's not just scheme at this point, it's effort, it's looking off guys as they're jacking threes when your whole thing this season was not losing the three-point line. Well, if you're just staring at guys and like, oh, me not making a little effort to maybe throw them off, like that's just not going to win you games. So it didn't matter that the Suns in the second half came out and they were aggressive and they were getting to more mid-range spots and like, let's just run offense, not think too much and try to shoot threes ourselves. That's fine. But if you're getting beat just not playing defense, it's not going to matter. So my whole takeaway on this thing is they need an identity, like someone on this team to get in their face, not worry about yelling at a Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. I kind of jokingly put out like what's PJ Tucker doing, because like he knows Book, he's a Texas guy that knows KD. I don't even know if he is good anymore, could play, but that's the type of personality you need on this team to just like completely shift what the leadership group from head coach down is, because we know who this team is. This is the Denny Green, we are who they thought they are thing. They are a team that coasts. Like, they were in the Pacers game. They weren't even necessarily playing all that poorly if you take away the turnovers, which, again, you can't just ignore at this point.
It was the fact that 3 minutes in, everything was so easy for them offensively because the Pacers are a terrible defensive team. And the Pacers were actually trying hard. Like, I could see it on their faces even from afar that, like, let's defend tonight. Let's play defense.
Yeah.
We're going to play defense.
Especially after that timeout, Vince Marotta was like, they just completely changed, looked like a different team after an early timeout.
Even after in the first 3 minutes, I could see it on their face. And it was like they were so discombobulated and just a step out of position for ball movement like that they stood no chance. Timeout, foot off the gas, and the game's over. Like, I actually felt like after 4 minutes, the game was over because I saw the disconnect happen. I'm like, it's over. Like, they do not have the ability to on-off switch it. They just don't. So, it's copium season, and it's copium season with a trade that's just not going to happen. So, everyone's like, oh, we just need Jimmy Butler, man. No, you don't need Jimmy Butler. You need things to change.
Yeah.
With the top guys around the team. It just needs to change. I had this same thing last year. It's the same thing this year. What happened? You changed the head coach. You got point guards. I'm still watching the same thing. So I'm tired of hearing about that. And it's just, I don't have much to say on this episode. It's probably going to be a really short one because we can talk about trade stuff in a minute if you want.
Sure.
But I think I'm done talking about the on-court product for this. I got to pace myself this year. I got to pace myself.
Okay, so I don't want to talk about the Jimmy Butler trade as a like concept, but I understand why people want that, right? Do you understand, like, if you bring in that star who will absolutely shake things up? We talked about this on the episode. We had to talk about it. Like, he's a personality who would yell at his teammates if they are not busting their butts. He's like, that's what they need. And again, I don't think that they have a pathway to getting Jimmy Butler, but I see why people look at that and being like, oh, we could use this. It's really hard to find a way, though, between that and my jokingly PJ Tucker thing, where you can shake up this identity of this team and have Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. Like, they set the tone at the end of the day to me, and the tone has to be their personality isn't the tone that this team needs, is what I'm trying to say. I don't know if that, I'm not saying blow this whole completely thing up, but I'm saying, like, I thought to my coasting point, they coast so much on offense because they're pretty good still, that they'd never have this ability to go get 2 stops in a row, you take a lead finally, have a momentum switch. They don't have that foot on the pedal, like, mentality, or the on-off switch, however you want to say it. It's like when you're driving your car, you have, like, on automatics, a lot of them have, like, the econ mode where it's just like you have to really punch it and it's barely gets going, and then there's, like, the sport mode and that kind of thing. Like, they only have econ mode, and they do not have an ability to, like, oh, we just need 2 stops and get the game under 10 points, or get the game from being behind 2 points, chasing this entire time, to take control of the game. They just don't have that in games. It's so weird. Like, most teams, even bad teams, have something where you see that switch in the game, and this team just doesn't. I don't know how to explain it more than that.
We had an episode like 4 weeks in maybe, where I outlined how the efficiency for them on both ends of the floor does not match their win-loss record, and there's going to be some balancing off there. You and I were buying what we were seeing, to be clear, from the team, but those were alarming numbers that were sort of off to that degree. So in the last 2 weeks, they are 6th in offense. Great.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
You're 26th in defense.
Yeah.
So you can't, that's where the balancing act doesn't work. Like, if you're going to be a bottom 5 defensive team, you have to be either the best offensive team in the league or one of the 3 best in order to win a lot of games. Like, this clean the glass pace that I keep talking about still has them at 39 wins this year. And do I think that they're still going to win 50? I feel a lot worse about it now than I did 3 weeks ago, because you and I think agreed, and I more so made this point and owned it to like take it off of you if you want to go back from it. It's totally fine. Like I was sitting here saying, like, there's no way they're going to be a bottom 10 defense this year. We saw too many positive signs with their foundational play over the first couple of weeks to believe that they were going to be at least passable defensively, and I was wrong. It was too early. It was way too early. Now, do I believe that they're going to be a top 20 defense still? Like, can they get to like 17, 16, 15? I still believe that, but it was too early to act in definitives.
Yeah. And it's like, is this a bad stretch because of the ins and outs? Maybe, but at some point they just have to. I think what I want to hear is urgency, because, like, again, this will be exactly like last season. And I think, do they have the exact same record at this point as they did last season? I think that's true. Something like that. Which is bad omens, but
yeah, and it's funny because the game where I like blew up and was like pissed and was like, what's going on? That was the Washington one I always reference. They were 14-12 after that win, and they're 14-12 right now. So it's
as we're doing it again.
Back on the ride.
So when I go back to, like, they don't have this, like, okay, we just need to like flip a switch or whatever again. They don't have that in seasons, and to me, that's an urgency. Like, after the game, after a loss at some point, very soon, they need to be like, it doesn't matter that Devin Booker wasn't there in the second half. We need to play better. Like, we need to figure out our defense. And I just don't hear that in the tone of coaches, players. And I get the long season crap, but, like, this is going kind of on an aside, but the Milwaukee Bucks, congrats on the NBA Cup win. As you can argue how dumb that whole format is or something, but I think there's something for that team specifically this year that got off to a horrible start.
They needed that.
That's like a galvanizing point in their season.
Yeah.
As meaningless as that trophy is, like, they had a couple moments of feeling good, went on a little run. Same thing as Suns, like, in the bubble, like that. In the end, that's meaningless for that season. But did it mean something for the next season? Yes. So I just think...
And, like, you look at these 5 games coming up, sorry to cut you off, where it's Denver, Dallas, Golden State, Memphis. If they can go 4-1 over that stretch, it is like they really need that lift of confidence.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see that, to be clear, because Book's going to be out. I don't want to put expectations like that too high for fans, but that is like the type of boost that they need, to your point. We need to see... It was the start of the year, 8-1, 9-2, whatever you want to call it. They were pretty decent defensively. They were okay offensively, and KD was just dominating in crunch time.
Yeah.
Now the defense has fallen off a cliff, and they've had injuries.
Yeah, and Dallas and Denver have had kind of their own issues. Denver more of late, obviously, of just like not being there defensively either. Kind of the same thing. I saw a graph of offensive efficiency, defensive in last 10 games from Kirk Goldsberry, I think. And the Nuggets are right with the Suns as far as where they're at. Obviously amazing offensive talents, but there's just these very concerning voids in defensive, I don't know if you call it urgency or effort or concentration, whatever. But we're going to find out. Again, the schedule is favorable, but they need to do something with it.
Well, so to cover the trade stuff here, I think a lot of and longtime listeners know this is kind of how I evaluate things. Like, it would be different if the Suns were doing this and they had the Dynasty Warriors in their conference right now. It would feel a little bit differently, I think. Yeah. But the opportunity has been there for a couple of years now, ever since they made the finals. Like, every year the West has mostly been open. I know you can look at the way the Nuggets played in 22, but again, I think people forget, like, that was not a, like, the Suns got their doors blown off of them that entire series. It was actually a pretty close series, and they dealt with injuries as well to Chris, obviously. You look at this year, and Oklahoma City's 21-5. They're the class of the West. They're not proven in the playoffs yet. And again, people who have been listening to me for a long time know I need to see that first. So I love OKC. I've talked about them a lot on this pod. But until we see those guys make deep playoff runs, I'm just going to hold for now. And then you look at the rest of the West. Memphis and Houston are really the two teams kind of jumping above everyone else, because Denver, like you said, has apparently reached out on like a dozen offensive-minded players, including Zach LaVine, because they're not getting enough juice right now with the non-Jokic stuff, which goes back to our conversations preseason about, okay, like you're not as deep now, so your second, third, and fourth best players have to be that good, and Jamal Murray's not himself. Michael Porter Jr. is having a fine year, but is he having like a 24-point per game? Like, is he an all-star kind of year that he should?
Yeah.
Plateaued. Aaron Gordon, plateaued. Same kind of thing. Minnesota, just like it feels like when they're figuring it out, we've got Ant saying again last night that like we do not have an identity offensively. I take a lot of shots. Julius takes a lot of shots. That's all we do.
Yeah.
The Warriors were off to an outstanding start, but it appears that Steph Curry and then your second best player being, don't know. They made a really good trade for Schroeder. We'll bring up here in a second with relation to the Suns. Lakers are kind of just going to be around 500 probably, dangling around, having some miserable stretches, having some pretty good stretches. Dallas 17-10 got off to a really great run of games within the last week or two, but I think we're still a month away from figuring out. I think OKC's legit. I think Memphis is legit. And I think Houston is legit. The rest of the spots, I don't know. The thing that Suns fans should be really concerned about is that the gosh darn Clippers are 16-12. James Harden and company are doing enough right now with Kawhi out. So when Kawhi comes back, he's going to come back, and he did 5-on-5 recently with contact. So you can sit here and say, oh, well, he's going to miss 3 weeks as soon as he comes back, or misses 3 months. Like, they don't even need him right now. They'll be in a playoff spot without him. And if they get him, they're going to win 48, 50 games. So Suns shouldn't be concerned about that, or Suns fans shouldn't be concerned about that because of like facing them in the playoffs. It's like, no, they'll take one of the top 6 spots. They did this last year, and they're probably going to do it again. So it's a lot of wait and see out there, which should multiply the frustration for Suns fans with the way that their team is not taking advantage of this stretch where a lot of the West is in figure it out mode, and you should not be in figure it out mode.
This is year 2, yep.
Injuries, all that kind of stuff, whatever, yada, yada. So then you look at the trade market. You did some deep diving on this in John Gambadoro basically reporting that expecting either Nurkic to get dealt, Okogie to get dealt, or Grayson Allen to get dealt. I think that's not surprising. Royce has had a terrific start to the year. Grayson a slower start to the year. I'm sure if it was flipped, Royce would have been the one to be talked about as getting traded. But that's the way it goes. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but it just seems like their best chance here is to do some version of the Schroeder trade with Okogie, where you take in a contract that's just sitting there, not really a player, because Melton was swapped for Schroeder. Melton's out right now.
ACL. He's done this year.
They gave up basically 2 second-round picks to get him. So you're looking for some version of the Royce O'Neal deal that you can do. Again, you need to find the right match, which is where this gets so complicated. But it feels like Okogie is the right way to go because, yes, we understand Nurk has been not very good this year. Replacing him, you still have to replace him. You cannot just have Plumlee and Iguodala be your centers the rest of the way. If you trade Grayson, now you're lacking a little bit of shooting. You're lacking a little bit more pop off the ball. I know that
insurance
Suns fans,
for Beal book.
Exactly. I know Suns fans get scaled as they should when he's going off the dribble right now because some of the turnovers have been kind of sloppy. He had one last night where he got caught in midair spinning around.
He's getting to the foul line a lot this year, though, relatively.
He was a great source of offense for them last year, and he is going to be even more so this year. Tyus has done a great job of stepping up with that. Walt Grayson has been getting better. But yeah, it just seems like the small upgrade with Okogie and getting another rotation player in is the thing. And now all of a sudden, there feels like there's an opening. They go to 9 last night for most of the first half. Monte Morris in, Ryan Dunn out. So it feels like that one extra wing spot is still something to be desired for them.
Yeah, bigger wings. Dunn, again, it's like if you get a shooter, that would be helpful if he can get his shot back, but he's, again, come back down to earth. So I think the big takeaway is, again, you have an open roster spot. Okogie, you get something back there, might have to throw in picks. And then, Grayson and Nurk, like you either need to get 2 players for one if you deal one of them or trade both of them and get a guard and a center back. You can't do one or the other because if you trade Grayson for a center, then you have too many centers, and then you got to trade Nurk, like that kind of thing. So
the one I saw Gerald whip up was, I think it was Jonas and Sadiq Bey from Washington. Like we can sit here and like debate like should you want Jonas, should you want Sadiq Bey or whatever, but that's like the type of idea.
Yeah, that's a good one too. And then like like I saw Malik Beasley's on a pretty, I think Okogie could go for him. He's in Detroit. Again, you'd have to put Sweetener in that because he's actually having a really good season. 16 points per game, obviously lights out shooter, gets a lot of threes up. But that's redundant with Grayson. So if you dealt Grayson and then Okogie and got Beasley or something, then maybe you get a center for Grayson. So you just kind of have to combo all these things is where the complications are. But yeah, they need to trade. Also, when we talk about trades, again, going back to the start of this convo, is trade for someone who's going to hit somebody and give you a little defensive juice, get in your own players' faces when they do not have the right rotation or whatever, because what is there already is not cutting it. Patrick Beverley is too old and overseas, so like I'm just throwing crazy names out there, but like they need some shakeup in identity in some form via trade too, because I just am not. I don't know. I'm not buying that. Even the on paper roster, you look like you have a hole filled on the wing would even solve very much. I don't know if a rim roller would solve very much.
Has the supporting cast been their issue this year?
Right.
Their supporting cast has been amazing this year. Tyus is having a career year. Royce is having a career year. Both those guys are shooting 45% plus from three. It is not their issue at all.
I think Nurk's taken too much heat, to be honest.
He was the Utah game, which we haven't talked about since that one. That was like, if you are seriously like this deep into Nurkic hate and criticism that you would be willing to go back and watch a basketball game to understand a point, watch back the Utah game because he was awful in the first stint and then he was very good the rest of the game in like the little ways that he was very good last year.
Yeah. I mean, you can call me a hypocrite because like he's also at fault for the looking off threes stuff, but like this is a team game. Everyone's doing similar things. They just don't have that spark, I guess, on defense, and they need to find it somehow, I think is where I've landed. Like, I don't care about the offense right now.
Should we check under the cushions? Anything else, bud?
I'm looking for it's too early for book things even. No.
We got a lot of podcasts left to do this year. Yeah. We'll have time.
Okay. We might take a little break.
We will, yeah.
Christmas will be tough to get.
Yeah, we probably should have said ahead of time from the Thanksgiving break before last time, but yeah, no pod next week, and it'll be a good, like somewhere right before New Year's or after New Year's where we'll talk after this hit of 5 elite Western Conference teams coming in. Elite, good, great, however you want to label them. It's 5 very good games for them for us to kind of
measuring,
gauge how they are, because I think most of our concerns lie right now with them against just bad and meh teams when they just let their foot off the gas. So with their foot on the gas nonstop against these teams, you would figure maybe we see a different product. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Get tater tots.
Go get tater tots from Sonic. Any other
Cherry
big
limeade.
plans? That's cherry
People
limeade
forget.
for your Christmas drink.
Huh?
I don't know.
I didn't even hear what you said.
Any
I
big
was just thinking of
plans?
Sonic menu items.
Doing
They've got so
anything?
many. You ever had the pretzel twist? Oh, the pretzel twist.
He's just.
So
You're in your world here, yeah.
I'm in my world. Yeah, it's just it's been a week. I've been doing the radio show, covering the team, all that kind of stuff. So we'll see if there's any Booker news. Keep an eye out on ArizonaSports.com. Our own Alex Weiner is out there right now, and he'll come back here and help me grieve that Christian Walker is no longer an Arizona Diamondback. I'm sad.
See ya, everyone.
Bye.